You're never going to believe this, guys. In the most epic turn of events pre-Trump-Harris debate, a top Department of Justice spokesman in New York was caught on a hidden camera ripping Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg for his recent prosecution of former President Donald Trump. Shortly after this was released, New York Judge Juan Merchan announced that they're going to be delaying the sentencing for Donald Trump's hush money case until after the election. More on that later. But first, you gotta watch this undercover footage for yourself, guys.
Actual felonies? Because I was pretty sure that...
He was stacking charges and rearranging things just to make it fit a case. No, to be honest with you, I think the case is nonsense. Every real estate person in New York does what he did. Nobody's ever been charged with this.
What do you mean?
He wants to be, something. I don't know what. Mayor. I'm not sure what he wants to be, but I know he's not happy just being the DA.
He's probably going to try to lock him up, and it's going to be ugly.
Well, what can I say? It looks like somebody got caught speaking the truth here. Alvin Bragg needs to be in jail. Bragg and everybody else who's involved in Donald Trump's prosecution or persecution, they should all rot in prison. Because guys, this wasn't just any rank and file employee. This was Nicholas Bias, the chief spokesman of the Manhattan U.S. Attorney's Office. So you know he's talking some real truth here. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if this were part of the reason why Judge Juan Merchan decided to delay the sentencing in Donald Trump's NYC criminal trial until after the election. Check this out.
Breaking news coming from the New York City courts. Judge Juan Merchan, who has been the presiding judge over former President Trump's so-called hush money case, has made a determination that he is not going to go ahead with the September 18th sentencing date for the former president, that it will be delayed until after the election. This had been a really fraught decision for this judge because people had observed, Sandra, that if he had have gone ahead with the sentencing, then the former president could have accused him of meddling in an election. And if he decided to delay the sentencing until after the election, no doubt he would get hit by a lot of accusations that he was acting in Donald Trump's political interests as opposed to in the interests of justice. But the breaking news coming to us just a couple of minutes ago, Judge Juan Merchan, the presiding judge in the so-called hush money case with Stormy Daniels, has decided to delay the sentencing for the former president until after the November election. This is a big decision, Sandra.
Now, honestly, guys, isn't it just so epic and monumental that everything former President Donald Trump has said has actually come true? He said that he will see justice in the lawfare campaign against him. He said that none of them will succeed. He said his enemies will fall. It's all coming true, and everything's coming up Trump. I mean, no less than Nicholas Bias, chief spokesman for the Manhattan U.S. Attorney's Office, was secretly recorded tearing into his own boss, Alvin Bragg, by an undercover operative from conservative podcaster Stephen Crowder's Mug Club. I mean, you saw the clip, guys. It was released by Crowder on social media. The identity of the woman who secretly recorded the exchange with Bias wasn't made public, but that's okay. The Post has not reviewed the full unedited recordings. And let me just recap what he recapped in that scandalous footage. So first, he described the unprecedented hush money case against Donald Trump as a perversion of justice and that the case is just nonsense. Not to mention Alvin Bragg's real intentions behind the case. He wants to be something a mayor. He's not happy just being the DA of New York County. Bias also told the woman before he decided to prosecute Trump, did you know who he was? You do now. And he didn't stop there. At one point in the video, Bias accused DA Alvin Bragg of stacking charges against Trump and rearranging things just to kind of make them fit in a case. True enough, Donald Trump was somehow miraculously convicted of 34 felony counts for falsifying business records related to payments made to a porn star before the 2016 presidential election. Bias also suggested that the Manhattan Supreme Court Judge Juan Merchan overseeing the case would likely try to imprison Donald Trump, predicting that it's going to be ugly. According to Bias, they're so obsessed with taking him down. And when asked who they were exactly, he clarified that he meant the Democrats. Because if Donald Trump is a convicted felon, it impacts his candidacy. Bias even admitted that the strategy seemed to backfire on his party when he said that those felonies didn't stop Donald Trump from running. They actually made him more relevant. And honestly, the whole Mug Club undercover video, it was a goldmine, as Bias also referenced Trump's separate civil fraud case led by State Attorney General Letitia James, in which Trump was found guilty of inflating his assets to secure loans. But According to Bias, every real estate person in New York does this and no one's ever been charged. It's a perversion of justice. Bias also criticized state-level justice systems, describing them as the Wild Wild West. He compared them with federal rules that prohibit decisions affecting elections within 90 days. But according to the Bragg spokesperson, the rule does not apply to the state level because the state is like the effing Wild West. They're like idiots. They don't care. They're all political. He also went after Fulton County DA Fani Willis, who charged Donald Trump and 18 others with conspiring to overturn the 2020 election. Bias called it a travesty of justice and that Fani is a joke. They're just out to get him. Trump. Well, there you go, guys. Straight from the Democrats' mouth, an admission that all these legal cases against former President Donald Trump, they've been just one massive lawfare campaign against the Republican presidential nominee. At this point, are we even surprised? I mean, just look at what they did to Bobby Kennedy. But sure enough, though, Bias has since apologized for the remarks and tried to walk back the damage by saying that he regretfully made some statements in a private and social setting that don't reflect his reviews about 2 local and state prosecutions. He added that he just said these things in an effort to please and impress someone he just met. I mean, isn't this just par for the course when it comes to Democrats? Trying to please and impress the people by saying whatever they need to say? Now, honestly, guys, I just find it very interesting that this is exactly the type of criticism that's being hurled at the Democratic presidential nominee, Kamala Harris, as well. Coincidence? I don't believe in coincidences, but I'll let you guys decide on that. Now, in case mainstream media tries to discredit this and basically say that Bias was a Republican plant, let me just say, guys, this guy was promoted to his current role in 2021 by Manhattan U.S. Attorney Damian Williams from the Democratic Party. Now, at the time, Williams described him as a vital liaison for an office in the media capital of the world, and a trusted counselor and confidant to every U.S. attorney that he ever served. Williams went on to say that Bias was respected by the press corps for his professionalism, integrity, and candor. So yeah, good luck to any second-rate media outlet or other YouTube channel trying to twist this around on Republicans. I mean, I can't believe that this is really happening, guys. This is the type of journalism that the world needs. Now, if we had like 100 journalists willing to do real investigative reporting like this, the world would be a much better place. You know what I mean? But hey, we're doing our part here, right? Hit the like button on the video, subscribe to the channel so that we can continue to reach more like-minded people like you guys with our content. Don't go away, guys. We just getting warmed up here. So yeah, I'm not saying that they're connected, but after this Alvin Bragg undercover takedown came out, the case that he so carefully prosecuted against former President Donald Trump took a blow as Judge Juan Merchan decided to go ahead and postpone Donald Trump's sentencing till after the November presidential election. Trump's sentencing date is now scheduled for November 26th. The original date was September 18th. Merchan said in his letter about the decision that the public's confidence in the integrity of our judicial system demands a sentencing hearing that is entirely focused on the verdict of the jury and weighing of aggravating and mitigating factors free from distraction or distortion. You're darn right it does. He continued and said, unfortunately, we're now at a place in time that it is fraught with complexities, rendering the requirements of a sentencing hearing, should one be necessary, difficult to execute. Thus, in accordance with certain of the grounds submitted by defendant and the reasons for adjournment provided by the people, coupled with the unique time frame that this matter currently finds itself in, the decision on the motion and the imposition of sentence will be adjourned to avoid any appearance, however unwarranted, that the proceeding has been affected by or seeks to affect the approaching presidential election in which the defendant is a candidate. Donald Trump campaign spokesperson Stephen Chang quickly responded and said that there should be no sentencing in Manhattan DA's election interference witch hunt. According to Chung, as mandated by the United States Supreme Court, this case, along with all other Harris-Biden hoaxes, should be dismissed. Trump has also appealed the verdict after pleading not guilty to all charges. Trump attorney Todd Blanche said the verdict should be overturned based on the Supreme Court's ruling on presidential immunity, granting presidents limited immunity for official acts. Not to mention Merchan's daughters work at Authentic Campaigns, which represents top Democratic candidates. As for Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg, he may deny what his own subordinates said about him, but there's no denying that his vanity project of a trial against former President Donald Trump, it comes at a very high cost for New Yorkers. I mean, just think about it. The time and the resources Bragg has poured into these weak Trump charges, they weren't free, especially considering how many serious crimes go unaddressed in the big city. Now, honestly, I don't think that this is an exaggeration that criminals walk the streets with very little fear of jail time when Manhattan's crime clearance rate sits at a dismal 29.8%. In 2023, only 7% of the 109,303 arrests that led to prosecutions resulted in imprisonment. 7%. 7%. Meanwhile, Donald Trump faced weeks-long trials filled with embarrassing evidence that most New York criminal cases end with plea bargains. Out of 18,478 cases, 15,053 cases were resolved this way. In 2023 alone, New York City had 12,151 criminal filings, 10,924 indictments, and 1,227 SCIs, leading to 10,722 guilty pleas and 88% plea rate. A recent report from the New York State Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers and the National Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers even commented that this rampant plea bargaining severely weakens the integrity of the justice system. Not only that, guys, but thanks to DA Alvin Bragg's laser focus on Trump's case, even when dangerous criminals are convicted, they're often released. They found out that 2/3 of persons released without bail with a recent prior arrest were subsequently rearrested within 2 years. Between January and May 2023, 250 people accounted for 2,500 arrests, with 70% being repeat offenders. Recidivism, or the tendency of a convicted criminal to reoffend, is at its highest level since 2017. And honestly, are we even surprised? Dante Moore, who fatally stabbed a 63-year-old grandmother, had 15 prior convictions, but was still out on the streets. In April, Alvin Doris punched an 11-year-old boy and broke his nose while trying to rob him, despite having 9 prior arrests and 4 assault charges. In January, Raheem Washington stole a subway passenger's phone, was arrested, released without bail, and just days later attempted another robbery with a box cutter. And that's within his long criminal history, including robbery, assault, and harassment charges. Meanwhile, Bragg seems way more focused on gaining media attention than fulfilling his responsibilities. Needless to say, guys, the Manhattan DA's waste of resources in pursuit of Trump, it really just undermines the rule of law, it erodes confidence in the justice system, and it delays justice for real victims. Across New York, courts are severely backlogged with over 453,000 pending cases. In New York City alone, 50,180 people were awaiting resolution of their cases as of February 2024. Seriously? Victims are tired of waiting. In 2019, there were 70,000 violent crimes reported in New York State, but only 6,140 victims received compensation. And you know what? I just read that one medic involved in a road rage incident where a driver broke most of her molars with a car jack. They had her compensation claim denied because the Office of Victim Services couldn't verify that her assailant had caused her dental injuries. I mean, seriously, guys, there are just some people who are being ignored by Alvin Bragg's justice system because of the politically driven and costly trial that he chose to pursue. You heard it straight from his own spokesperson, Bias. Bragg's fixation on getting Trump has led to him neglecting the very people he was elected to serve. So let me know your thoughts, guys. Should Alvin Bragg be the one that's on trial here? You let me know, guys. Drop a quick yes or no in the comments. And hey, definitely check back on our other videos on this channel. The one I recommend right now is the video where we cover former Democrat turned Trump supporter Tulsi Gabbard helping the former president prepare his upcoming debate against Vice President Kamala Harris. Because remember, guys, Gabbard embarrassed Kamala Harris on the debate stage before, and it looks like she's helping Donald Trump to be able to do the exact same thing in a couple of days. Definitely a must watch after this video. Click on my channel, click on videos, check that video out right now. Anyway, guys, thank you for liking the video. Thank you for subscribing. I'll see y'all next time.